Welcome guys to round 15 of this career mode. We are driving in a very wet Malaysian Grand Prix. We are back with Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso. Now in real life, Pierre Gasly absolutely smashed his debut in his Toro Rosso. He did absolutely fantastic to get his Toro Rosso where it was, but this will be the last time Malaysian Grand Prix will feature in the forward seasons, at least anyway. Obviously we will race Malaysia Grand Prix a couple more times on the channel, but in terms of career mode forward videos, probably not so much. If we do the 2018 season, we'll not see the Malaysian Grand Prix, but you can see we're on the intermediate tyres. We managed to qualify only P8. I was hoping to get P7. It was a bit disappointing, but as the rest of the season has shown so far, that we are obviously really quick in the wet in this car. This car is fantastic in the wet, especially the intermediate conditions. So in the little window between the slicks and the full wets, this car just works amazing. So we're looking at a podium at least a podium, I think. I have upped the difficulty by another 10 from the start. I think the first race in Belgium, it's been the same since then. So I've just upped it by another 10 now, just because I wanted to get a bit more, I don't know, a bit more, what's the word? A bit more of a challenge, I suppose, because, you know, obviously winning Italy and Singapore, I just, you know, it didn't feel stale, but I just wanted a bit more of a challenge. So it's gone up by 10, and we're going to go for the 5 lights to come on. And we get off to a mediocre start at best, I'd say. No one really made any gains in terms of positions. Everyone more or less stayed where they were. I'm not sure about that, but Massa's actually making a move on Verstappen, so we're going to chuck the inside of Massa. We're going to touch wheels a little bit with our senior teammate Daniel Ricciardo. We're actually stuck on Massa, so we couldn't actually get off of him, so we're going to have to take a wide line to get away from Massa and actually get the much better traction on Daniel Ricciardo. So we moved up to P5. We gained 3 positions by the end of turn 2, so that's fantastic. So we've got past both of the Red Bulls and Felipe Massa, and we've just got the Finnish driver of Kimi Räikkönen just ahead of us. We've got Valtteri Bottas ahead of him, Vettel just behind Hamilton. So Hamilton is leading, hoping to extend his championship lead. Hamilton is doing a solid job ever since the summer break. Kimi was going into it leading by a few points, and now obviously Kimi's kind of dropped the ball a little bit, to say the least, and Hamilton's really picking up the slack, and Hamilton's sort of running away with it. He's got quite a big gap, to say the least. But we're going to look down into the hairpin on Kimi Räikkönen, get some good traction off, and then that's us through. We're going to look at the replay of the start and see how that went down. And it was a pretty good start from everyone, more or less. Nothing really happened. I think the only notable thing that happened is you see a Renault, I think it was Hulkenberg, actually pulls out of the spray, and then obviously we follow just to move it over to the second line to have an attempt at Massa and Ricciardo. And you can see here, this is where we're stuck on Massa. Our rear tyre was stuck on his front tyre, so in real life we'd have gone over his tyre, bounced, and probably broken our suspension. But nonetheless, we're going to go past Ricciardo, so we have to go off to a really good start compared to the rest of the field. And a little bit further back, you can see we got Verstappen, who was actually fighting with the Force Indians. So Verstappen dropped down quite a bit at turn 1. He got overtaken obviously by the Haas. We got Massa, and I believe that's Ocon with Hulkenberg just behind. But so Verstappen's obviously going to fight back, try and fight back through the field, get past the Force India, and try and get back to where he was when he started. But still on lap 1, you can see we're cruising up to the back of Bottas now, and hopefully going to get them jump on Bottas relatively soon. He's not very good in the wet, let alone at all in his Mercedes. It's a complete mismatch in terms of who they signed. He looked really good at the beginning of the season, and now he's just fallen apart. Especially in real life, he's going to push us to the left-hand side, and we're not actually going to be able to get anywhere. So we're going to have to literally get so close to him. He gets a bit of a squirm on mid-corner, so that gives us the opportunity to pounce down his inside and get past Bottas as well. So like I said, this car is performing extremely well in these conditions, and hopefully, well, we're already on the podium place, so if we can continue chasing that, we are. We're only about to start lap 3, and I want to assume that we're going to get the fastest lap, in which we do. So that just kind of highlights how fast this car is in the conditions we're currently driving at. We're actually going to be able to pounce on the rest of the cars. You've got Max Verstappen, who is behind Felipe Massa, who does also obviously pull to the side of the track. So So I'm assuming the Haas was actually ahead of Verstappen at this point. But so here we've got a VSC, which kind of halts our progress for the time being. But we're going to continue on as soon as the VSC ends. We love the VSCs. As you can see, we're up on our Delta. And the second it goes, Vettel moves all the way to the left-hand side. So we're just going to duck it up the inside. And we're going to take our positions. We took full advantage again of the VSC while Vettel was kind of snoozing. I don't think he expected us to make that move. And a swift transition onto lap 5 from lap 4. We're cruising up to the back of Hamilton. We're going to take it kind of easy into the braking zone. We're not going to risk our front wing. A potential race win at this point because we're doing really well. If we win this, it'll be 3 races in a row, which is absolutely obscene. All things considered, you know, we're going to go side by side with Hamilton. Again, he's not going to fight us just like in real life. He's actually just going to let us go. Obviously, he's thinking about the championship at this point. With 5 races to go, he does not want to risk his 4th championship. So, fair play to Hamilton. I respect that. But we've got Pascal Wehrlein now, who on the mini-map, as we passed Hamilton, you could actually see there was a car going slow. And this is why Pascal Wehrlein, with the puncture, coming down towards the hairpin, it is a very weird one. A lot of cars do get quite a lot of punctures, to be fair, in this career mode since Belgium, which is obviously when we jumped on to 2017. But we're going to come into the pit lane, make our one and only stop about halfway through the race. Hamilton does follow us in. Raikkonen goes on. Vettel obviously came in behind Hamilton as well. So we'll have to see how that plans out, because obviously if the Ferraris split their strategy, it'll be interesting to see where Kimi does come out. We don't get hold. We go straight ahead of Hamilton. There is a lapped car who's just gone through. I believe that was... In all honesty, I have no idea who that was, but someone was getting lapped on lap 8 as well. We've got a car coming down at the start-finish straight. We're going to jump him, but he's going to get ahead of Hamilton, and it's none other than our teammate Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz is going to do us a huge favour and hold up Lewis Hamilton. As you can see on the mini-map, how much of a gap we have now to Hamilton and Vettel, all thanks to our teammate Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz, thank you very much, sir. So we're in P1, and we've got a pretty sizable gap. As Carlos does come into the pits. We've got Kimi about to come out of the pits any second now, so we're going to see where he comes out in terms of Lewis Hamilton. We've got Lewis Hamilton just coming into the picture now. Raikkonen's going to go, I reckon, side by side through the long sweeping right-hander, and it looks like Kimi will lose out to Hamilton just about. Maybe he had a slower pit stop or something, but he definitely could have overtaken Hamilton there and obviously gained some more points on him in the championship. But Vettel was P2 as it stands now. Kimi not too far behind, but Hamilton, if it stays like this, Hamilton's got like a good 40-point gap in the championship. So Hamilton is on course to claim his 4th championship in the coming races. I mean, we've got 5 races left. That's 125 points. It's still possible, but it's going to be difficult. But speaking of difficulties, our teammate Carlos Sainz is just falling through the order. I have no idea what's wrong with him. He's towards the back of the field now. He's in, I think, 17th place, 16th, 17th place, round about there. But there, we're having a look at Kimi. He's still behind Hamilton, and I'm not sure in these conditions he's going to be able to make that work. But there we go. We've got the McLaren, Honda, and the Sauber. Our teammate just locks up coming in to the turn 1, and Ericsson might make a meal of him if Sainz isn't careful. He's going to get a better drive off the corner. Sure enough, there goes Marcus Ericsson. So Carlos Sainz is effectively last now, bar Pascal Wehrlein, who was getting lapped. But we're going to come across the line, and we're actually going to win in Malaysia, which is kind of annoying for me because I upped the difficulty in hope, you know, I might get P6, P7, you know, P4 at best, and it's just not worked. It really hasn't. But we can't complain because obviously we know how good the car is in those conditions. I somewhat expected it. When I saw it, I was like, oh crap, here we go. But we absolutely dominated that race. That was a pure domination race, very similar to Vettel in 2008 Italy. We just absolutely smashed it in these conditions, but nonetheless, we can't be too mad. Obviously, we get a race win. We move up the standings with another 25 points. So that's obviously fantastic. I've got a new subscriber, Richard Smith. Thank you very much, Sunshine. It's popped up on my screen. But there are the standings as we're looking at it. Vettel just ahead of Kimi, but the Ferraris are way off Lewis Hamilton at this point. It's going to be incredibly difficult. We move up into P7 just behind Verstappen, Bottas and Ricciardo. Constructors, pretty solid. We're not going to lose 4th place. Well, I hope we don't lose 4th place. That'd be a bit embarrassing. But nonetheless, guys, that's been it for this video. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.